Today I want to talk about Dabo Swinney, who is getting freezing cold take on Ohio State being in the college football playoff. And let's unpack that after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I want to talk about Dabo Swinney getting freezing cold taked just a week before the Clemson Tigers are supposed to play the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Sugar Bowl for a chance to play for a national championship. And there is a lot of blood that has been spilt in this series and a lot of violence and animosity that has been wrought in this series dating back to 1978. And Dabo Swinney is making sure that he gets in his feelings about Ohio State playing in the college football playoff and how good or not they are as a team. Now, if you don't know what freezing cold take is, it's a Twitter phenomenon that became a Twitter account. So you make a take that proves later to be either wrong or very wrong, and this account makes it its job to go and retweet you. I have been freezing cold take. It's kind of like a badge of honor. It means that you care or you matter enough to a group of people to be made fun of, right? Lately, the thing that people wanted to come after me for is Coastal Carolina having a better argument than Texas A&M to get into the playoff. Okay, you can disagree with me, and that's fine. Because Coastal Carolina lost a overtime game to Liberty, which was a 9-1 team at the time, all of a sudden that doesn't look so good. I disagree. I think it's right what it should be. They were 11-0, and at the time of the selection, there were only them, Cincinnati, San Jose State, Alabama, and Ohio State remaining as undefeated teams. But Dabo Swinney has taken it kind of a step further. So let's start with what he said in September, which was unearthed by Anna Hickey, my bad, Anna, over at 247. The quote is, "You've been clear on this point," or excuse me, not you've been clear. I'm getting ahead of myself. The quote is about whether or not you think the Big Ten should be allowed to have a team in the college football playoff. And he said, "Shoot, in a year like this, no, it's a crazy year. Who knows how many games anybody is going to have. You have some of the best teams and coaches in that league. It's not their fault. They've worked their butt off." That's September, okay? And now we're in a case of how did he feel in September change versus how he feels in December. And in this, I think that y'all are all hypocrites. I think you're all hypocrites because you're the same people that say, well, Iowa State was a different football team in September when they got beat by ULL, so that shouldn't matter as much. And the fact that we still have to have conversations about what a football team looks like in September versus what a football team looks like in December is stupid. What did the scoreboard say? Because I'm not the same person that I was in September that I am in December. So how should that affect how we see the game itself and the teams that play for championships? But this got really out of hand, not when Dabo started talking about the Big Ten and Ohio State and whether or not a 6-win 10 should be allowed into the playoff on Rich Eisen's show around about December 11th, but ratcheted up when his coaches' vote ballot was released. Coaches' ballots are released to the public with their names attached to them to give us an idea of how these coaches are voting. Dabo ranked Ohio State number 11 on his ballot, just behind number 10 Coastal Carolina. Tom Rinaldi got a hold of him over the weekend and was able to ask him about his ballot. And I'm going to give you Dabo's full response right now. "Yeah, overreaction. First of all, my vote don't mean anything, but it means something to me, you know? It's my poll. I do it. It creates a stir because we just so happen to be playing Ohio State. It has nothing to do with Ohio State, absolutely zero. You can change the name to Michigan or Georgia or Florida or Tennessee or Nebraska. Anytime you have a top 10 ranking, it should be that special. This year, it's really, really, really special, and I wanted it to be that way. And so I wanted to recognize the teams that played 9 games or more. And so if you didn't play 9 games, I just didn't consider you from the top 10. That's why you were 11, or they were 11. Obviously, they're a great team. They're plenty good enough and talented enough to beat us, and a good enough team to win the national championship. But in my opinion, I don't think that it's right that 3 teams have to play 13 games to win it all, and 1 team has to play 8. What universe am I living in? And it has nothing to do with them. It was about qualifying, and I didn't think they were qualified based on the number of games versus all these other teams. In my opinion, Texas A&M, Florida, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, they got punished for playing more games. The idea here being that you play more games, there are more opportunities for things to go wrong. Citing Oklahoma, I think, is not really correct, because Oklahoma lost back-to-back games against Kansas State and Iowa State before they even got to the Red River rivalry on October 10th. Now, you could say that if they started the season later, perhaps that game doesn't get played, or perhaps that game ends differently because you just got more time. Doesn't change for Oklahoma, because 2 of your best players since they've been reinstated in November have been Ronnie Perkins and Ramondre Stevenson, and you had to play 6 games to get them back, or 5 games to get them back with the suspension. Florida lost to LSU. That was a 3-win team at the time. They were bad. They are bad. Texas A&M lost to Alabama, the number 1 ranked team in the country. You can make an argument about that. Cincinnati's undefeated. I kind of agree with that. But I also don't see how you can put Cincinnati in there and not Coastal Carolina. It doesn't really work. Cincinnati did not play a single ranked opponent until they played Tulsa in the conference championship game. Coastal Carolina had beaten 2 top 25 teams, including one that beat a contender for the Big 12 championship in Iowa State, and they beat an undefeated Brigham Young on 2 days' notice. It doesn't work, right? That's the problem here. The rankings don't work, and that's why we take them so seriously. If you're an Ohio State fan, you already feel some kind of way about this, but as a neutral to this, I hate that we have to have these discussions. Like, they're fun, and I like getting my jokes in as much as anybody else, but I want an undisputed national champion, and I don't want to have to argue about whether or not Cincinnati is more deserving than 2-loss Oklahoma or 3-loss Florida or 1-loss Texas A&M. I want the scoreboard to be the arbiter of justice, and the only way to do that is to match them up 1-16, 2-15, 3-14, 4-13. Think about the 4-13 matchup this year would have been Ohio State versus North Carolina, and y'all want to tell me that that would have been competitive? It probably would not have been, but it would have been fun. That's the point here. The point is that it would have been fun. We'd get more games. And if UNC somehow pull off that upset, we'd all remember it. It's not so much about winning the national championship in that format. It's about what stories can we tell and what stories are going to help promote the game further. Then it becomes, who's the undisputed national champion? It's the reason we love the NCAA tournament. It ain't because we think that Northern Iowa is going to go win a national championship. It is because we remember every single time somebody got Ali Farouk Maneshed. A 1 versus 16 has never ended with the 16 beating the 1 until just a couple of years ago, right? We've been playing 64 to 68 team tournaments for 30 years. It doesn't really matter until the story matters. That's why I love this sport so much. It's the stories that pop up out of it as much as anything. The players, the coaches are phenomenal. Let's get more of that. Deuces.